All right, so what is up, guys? This is the 6th episode of the Revs.
Season 2?
Take 2.
Oh, my goodness. So, we have a special guest here by the name of David Salazar.
Yes, sir.
And he is one of the youth leaders, right?
That's right. Yeah.
From CCVR.
Correct.
Life and Restoration Church.
There it is. What's up?
In English.
Vida y restauración
Vida
español.
en restauración. Let's go.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. It's like a tongue twister to my tongue.
What?
And then a tongue twister. But
Trabalenguas in Spanish.
Also, if y'all didn't know, Rudy's not here with us. No rest in peace. Don't think that he died or anything. But he went to
what?
Undertaker.
They
He's
called
coming
him
back. He's coming back.
yesterday.
But he's
He went to work.
he's working. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
working.
last minute call.
So yeah, that pays
Yeah.
dearly to my heart. But yeah. So we have here popcorn, and if y'all want lemonade, I gave it to y'all. So just letting y'all know.
I appreciate that, man.
It's
Thank you.
it's not fake. So I mean, yeah, it has liquid in there.
That's amazing.
This guy.
Yeah. So let us begin by asking a question.
Okay.
A very, very good question, by the way, and a good question that
Well,
people.
are you
want.
asking everybody or you're asking who
Well, I'm gonna ask
specifically?
him, but if y'all want to come in the conversation,
jump in.
Y'all want to come
can.
in hot? Let's go.
So with the youth or the young adults, where do you feel you're at this very moment? With
Like,
them?
personally?
Yeah,
or
personally.
Personally?
Mm.
You know, I feel like I'm in a season of my life in which I'm learning a lot. You know what I mean? I think in the ministry, when it comes to, you know, working with youth and working with young adults, nothing ever stays the same. You know what I'm saying?
How long have you been working with them?
I started working with the youth. I became an intern about probably 4 years ago, I think. I want to go ahead and say 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And ever since, I've been working with the youth. From being an intern, I then proceeded to go ahead and become a media director of our youth department. And then after that, what I'm doing now, it's basically doing connect groups. I'm the director that oversees all the connect groups and the life groups that happen outside of church. You know what I mean? Creating a stronger bond with our youth, you know, with one another. And basically, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about different people. I'm learning about different methods of how to reach to them. And most importantly, I'm learning a lot about leadership, specifically serving. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
good.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I've been knowing Josue since I was like 8 years old.
Correct, yes.
And
I am an Alfarero baby.
yeah.
Yes.
Were you born there?
I was actually, that was my first church.
Well,
That's my childhood church.
Desde qué año? Since you were born, or
yeah,
since
so
you
my parents got to the U.S. in 1992.
Damn, you know the
and-
year?
Yeah, 1992, and we were actually at the original El Alfarero,
The
which
small
was
one?
the small
was
one.
my house.
And Pastor Ibarra,
Right.
shout out to him if he listens to this.
Yeah.
Which is my childhood pastor. He was the one that presented me as a baby.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Wow. Oh, well, anyways,
Yeah.
what I wanted to say, I've been knowing this guy since I was 8 years old, and I don't know if he remembers this.
By the way, us three go to Alfarero.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just to give it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
El Alfarero. So it's a lot. I feel like I'm at home right now.
And I don't know if
say
you,
that it's not like a random church. It's like a church.
Yeah.
That we go to.
and I don't know if he remembers this, but well, I used to. I slept over at your house a couple of times. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
correct.
remember that.
Yeah. That's
And
right.
but this is little small story that I always remember, dude. And I remember one time, you know how they when we still do it to now, where we do the testimonios, agradecimientos.
Correct. Yes.
Well, I remember when I was 8 years old, I went up there with my mom, and my mom was like, "You want to read a Bible verse?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I remember it was Salmos, like 100 and something.
He had it upside down.
and then I read it, and I'm almost 100% sure that it was you.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah, know where Barbara sits, right? Towards the back end corner.
By the entrance?
Yeah, by the entrance. Well, you were sitting over there.
That was our scene actually.
You were sitting over there,
Yeah.
and I remember when I finished and I was walking towards back to our seat. I made eye connection with you, and you smiled at me, and you went like this, dude.
That put thumbs up. Yeah.
Dude, you have no idea how much that helped.
Reassurance.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
reassurance.
yeah, you have no idea how much that helped
He's
me
the only
out.
one.
You know,
And that really helped me
Everyone goes
continue
like
going.
this.
yeah.
That really helped me continue going up there. And but nah, man, that was really
No,
cool.
the
man. I
only
still remember
reason
that.
why I know for a fact that was ours is because we did sit in the back of that seat.
Yeah.
I remember because one of the stories that I have from El Alfarero was that when it was a New Year's that we were spending at church, right? Amazing, you know. And I had so much of my mom's homemade cookies that I threw up in that whole section. it was such a horrible moment. Yes.
Still smells it.
You know
I
what I
thought
mean?
you were gonna
Right.
why.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You know, and so I kind
No
of
wonder
like,
that stain is still there.
if you ever go look at that, you know what I mean? I put my initials on
Under
it.
the
Like,
bed.
yeah, I
Wow.
put my
Oh,
initials.
really?
Nah, I'm messing with y'all. No,
Oh,
I didn't do. I didn't.
I was about to go up there and check.
I didn't do that. No,
We're
but,
like,
Babies go leave it like their handprints.
right. So if you ever, if somebody ever complains about the smell, that was
No wonder little kids be spending that section.
And this was the first guy that I spoke to because we got there on a Friday, and then the Sunday after that Friday in the Sunday school, this was the first guy I spoke to.
Oh man,
And it was awesome, man.
It was
And
awesome.
until now, man.
I'm
Till
telling you,
now.
man, it's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Man, what has changed, dude? Like,
Yeah,
y'all
well,
haven't,
no.
y'all haven't grown a beard or?
Oh well, you know,
Dang.
I cannot grow a beard, so
Dang.
I
That's a
really
beauty
cannot.
over there.
We're
That's
team
That's
no
a
beard.
beauty. I got a
Team
beard.
no beard, yeah. Team
This
no
ain't
beard.
nothing, man.
I got a
Yeah,
little,
team peach fuzz. You know what I
Team
mean?
peach fuzz.
That's basically. I'm not ashamed of it. Yeah, I am what I am.
Yeah. This is the way God made me.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, so I got a question for you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, go for it.
The way
Why you so
just-
happy?
I don't
Nah,
know.
I'm kidding.
Because I'm eating. You know how you said different like methodologies
Yeah.
for leadership.
Yeah,
Well, what is a good? What's a method that you use to approach young people?
young people
Yeah,
in general.
Do you-
In
Hold
general,
on.
or are we talking about this generation, like
this generation.
millennials?
Can
Yeah.
we start with
Okay.
a simple question that goes with that question?
Yeah, go for it.
When you go towards a young man or a young lady
Okay.
and they're just starting, right?
Why interrupting?
Yeah.
me?
No, it's the same question. It's the same question.
Yeah.
How do you shake their hand, or how do you approach? Like, do you, do you go like that,
Or you go like
that,
this?
like that?
You know,
Like
I believe
that,
I believe
like
that,
that.
I believe that there's the best way for you to go ahead and do is just be yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm a person, I'm a hugger. I'm a natural born hugger. So what I normally go ahead and do, I go to them and I go like this. I do a formal shake and go like this, and I tell them, hey, I'm a hugger. Do you mind if I give you a hug? You know what I mean? Like, I apologize. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just go for it. You know what I mean?
You know what helps a lot?
what helps
you
a lot?
just did was a shoulder touch.
A shoulder touch.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, 'cause
Well,
it's
you know
like-
what, Angel? I remember how you came and introduced yourself to me. You were being yourself 100%, and I think
Yeah,
that's
not 99%, 100%.
You know, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believe that's the best way to go ahead and approach someone, especially if they're new to church, by being yourself. If you're a hugger, ask permission to give a hug. If you don't feel that comfortable, you can always give like a little shoulder pat or like, you know what I mean, just a normal handshake.
Un abrazo, bro.
But just be yourself, because I think people see that, and I saw that in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
That's immediately what I saw that in you. You built a zone of for me to be myself. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you're authentic. You know
In
what
a
I'm saying?
different scenario, like you're in a different church.
Okay,
I mean, let's say you used to go to that church, right?
correct.
But then you're coming back and you're just like, oh, this is a different church.
Yeah.
But then that certain handshake, that certain like your family.
Yeah, your
like,
family, exactly.
Come through, like you
Come
could
through.
come in and you feel comfortable.
Well, you know, that's what I'm telling you.
Uh-huh.
People cannot relate to your fakeness. Am I?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? People can only relate to the real you.
You feel
know
it
what I'm
right
saying?
away.
They can only relate to your authenticity. You know what I'm saying? And if you come in pretending to be someone else, I'm gonna go ahead and see that right away. And I think a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? They see that right away. So the best thing for you to go ahead and do is just be yourself. You know, if you're a hugger, ask for permission. Do not, you know what I mean? Don't catch a case. You know what I mean? Just go ahead. You know what I mean?
What if I'm a kisser?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, just but that's what I always say first. You know, I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
Let me give you a hug. Yeah.
But that, like you said, like that works well with like young adults or like young teens, because
Correct.
they'd be like, oh my god,
Well, you
like
know
this
what?
guy feels like one of my teachers, or this guy feels like one of my.
you know, teenagers, they won't give you a hug because teenagers, they're too cool. You know what I'm saying? So with them, it's probably like a little, you know, just, hey, what's up,
What's up,
man?
bro?
But as long as you keep being who you are, you know what I mean? Like, hey, dude, like, what's up, man? Like, how are you doing today? You know what I mean? So, but I mean, yeah, young adults, they're a little bit more open to, you know, to receiving that warmth that you're trying to give.
You know, like 2 years ago, I tried to be like the serious type, trying
Yeah.
to be cool.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
I try to be that. You know
He
what I mean?
broke,
Like,
he broke quick.
you know what I mean? I try to go ahead and play like the whole not religious type of guy. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
like,
saying? Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Nah, it doesn't work for me. You know, yesterday I was hanging out with the guy that was 17 years. He's 17 years old, right? And we were having our first connect group, and we went to Spanky's. You know, shout out to Spanky's. Nah, I'm saying-
Spank?
Pizza place,
That
right?
pizza place, yeah.
Oh.
Pizza place, yeah. And you know, it came.
I've never been to Spanky.
He opened up to me,
a
correct?
Spanky.
And he told me something that I'm like, I need to go ahead and right now focus on how I'm gonna react. Am I gonna react as a cool guy, or am I gonna react as a leader? You know what I mean? As a person that God has appointed me over these people. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you really have to go ahead and make the choice of who you're gonna go ahead and be, who your character is gonna go ahead and lead you to be. And the best thing that I could do is just be who I am and give the best advice possible. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to be cool or anything, but just trying to be real. You know?
One thing is that when you're like a leader or something, sometimes you feel like pressure that I can't play around. I need to be serious.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So that's something nice.
I love how you relate to that, because I went through that phase too. You know what I mean? And I think I'm still going through that phase because I'm someone that loves to play around a lot. You know what I mean? I'm someone that can quote the Bible. You know what I mean? And sometimes will quote Drake. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's because it's something in me that likes to go ahead and be like, okay, like, I want you to know that you can still relate to me. You know what I mean? As a leader, I still know what's out there. You know what I mean? I still know what's culturally, going on. Some of the language, some of the lingo may be different, but it hasn't changed that much since I left high school or since I left school. You know what I mean? And so it's like you have to be able to create the space in which, like, hey, you know what? I know what's going on, but even though I know what's going on, I'm not a part of that.
Like, you're not in it, but you know
I'm
what's
not
going
in
on.
it, but I know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But I choose to go ahead and stand my ground, live by the convictions that the Bible has taught me, and be real. And you know what that causes? That causes influence. You know what I'm saying? That causes for that person, for that young person or that young woman to actually start following you, because they're like, you know what? They know what's going on, and they're not following that. They're not following that trend. They're setting their own trend. Right. They're being different. You know what I mean? Have you ever noticed, like, the new rappers that are coming up in the game, in the secular, world? Have you noticed one thing that they all have in common is that they're different? You know what I'm saying? Is that each of them, they're getting so weird with these weird names, with these weird beats, you know what I mean?
With that weird color,
with all the weird colors,
hair.
But because nobody has ever thought about it, that's the reason why I'm looking at them. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh snap,
and it grabs attention,
and it gets attention. Yeah. You know what I mean? John the Baptist. You read the Bible. He was so different in what he dressed and what he ate. You know what I'm saying? Like, for you to go ahead and follow a guy that ate scorpions, you know what I mean? Like, for crying out loud, you know what I mean? Yeah. What level of influence he had, you know what I'm saying? And I think as youth leaders, we need to be able to go ahead and look at that and be like, hey, you know what? Just because I'm in the world does not mean I'm part of the world. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's a new trend going does not mean that I have to go with that trend. Because guess what? You just be a follower. You know what I mean? But if I stand by what God taught me, if I stand by my convictions, you know what I mean? Yeah, I might lose a couple of friends, but I'm going to gain more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm going to gain more people, and I'm going to lead them to Jesus.
And one of my personal problems is that, like, I can have a 14-year-old, guy, lo saludo. Yeah. But sometimes that's as far as I can get.
Yeah, correct.
And sometimes, like, okay, man, what else can I talk to about this with this guy? Because it's a 10-year difference.
It's correct.
And like us being, we're all 24 here. Like, we could talk about work, about your future, podcast, what's going on exactly. But when you have this 10 that's someone that's 10 years younger than you, lo saludas, and you're like,
and it's
man.
Because at that age they tend to really close themselves. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm too cool to, like, for you to actually know what's going on in my life, or I don't really care about this much for me to go ahead and invest my time in you and let you know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I sat down with the 8th grader, right? And I sat down with them and I told him, hey, dude, what do you expect from me? You know what I mean? Because I'm your youth leader. And I really want us to bond, you know what I mean? I really want to connect with you, What do you expect from me? You know what he said? He said, I just want you to play sports with me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes for a leader to go ahead and get off his comfort zone, sacrifice a date night, that you have with your girlfriend, or sacrifice a night out with your boys, and just take those kids to a park, you know what I'm saying? And play.
We take them to paintballing.
You know what I'm paintball, you know what I mean? Just take them out to a movie. I heard a guy, he was like, I love going to the movies. That, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we have to listen to them, but sometimes that creates a conflict in us because it messes up with our schedule. You know what I'm saying? It messes up with our comfort zone. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. You know what I mean? Like, like, I don't want to play at the park. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. But you have to be able to get, like, outside of your comfort zone if you want to be able to relate
and make them feel comfortable.
Guys. Correct. And make them. And you know, sometimes they don't even need advice. You know what I'm saying? Because they're too young. Sometimes they're not looking for advice. They don't care. They're just looking for someone to spend time with. Someone that they can go ahead and be like, hey, you know what? Because you looked at me and because you invested time in me, I'm going to keep coming. You know what I'm saying? Because you showed me what love is. You know?
And that's one of the sad things, too, is that a lot of young youth, they just lose interest in church. They don't come no more because they're like, you know what? I guess that didn't catch their attention, or I guess we don't have nothing in common and all that.
Yeah, they feel like an outsider, and it sucks because sometimes I feel like we bring too much Bible studies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We bring too much Bible, but we never actually show them the actions behind it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important for us to find a balance. I'm not saying for us to go ahead and quit the Bible studies. No, never do that. I don't think that would ever get us nowhere. You know what I mean? But find a balance in which I can go ahead and bond with you. You know what I mean? Don't feel like I'm trying to go ahead and input this religion or this faith into you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know that this is a lifestyle. That what you and I have is we're doing community. You know what I mean? We're doing relationship. And that's what Jesus wants to do with you. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm just trying to go ahead and input you and like, hey, dude, memorize the whole Psalm 90 something, you know what I mean? Sure. Which is not a bad thing, but I'm not spending time with you. I'm only giving you, you know what I mean, like half of the cake. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving you the whole picture of what it really means to be a Christian.
True.
You know, one thing about that is that, whenever you're like a young kid, right?
Yeah.
You're so prone to fail. There's so many failures that you do at that young life.
Correct.
That once you fail, some of them most of the time get stuck there.
Correct.
Failure.
That's true.
And that's why some of the times when they see churches, like, oh my God, all these people, they look like they're doing good. Like they're doing good in their lives financially, whatever it is that they have in their heads. Like, but I'm failing, and I can't relate to that. And I can't see myself with this guy because he's all like happy and dooey. But me, I'm failing. I don't know what to relate.
But they don't speak like.
Hey,
yeah.
So.
And you know that's really good that you said. I'm sorry. I'll keep going. Yeah.
But then there's this Bible verse where it says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is man,
Podrá desfallecer mi mente y mi espíritu, pero Señor, tú fortaleces mi corazón.
And my portion forever.
Eres mi herencia eterna.
That's amazing.
Sorry,
so he's always going to be there. He's always going to fulfill you. That's the thing that misses for a lot of the young people. I see that. That's why that's where there's a church. That's why there's. But I say this.
I'm so sorry. It's just
my mic is like breaking, bro.
I really want to go ahead and say this. I think part of that is because us as Christians, sometimes we're not as real as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What you just said is so real. But check this out, and it goes back to what I was saying. People can never relate to your hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People can never relate to your fakeness. They can only realize. They can only relate to your realness. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm only pretending to be someone
26.
That's always living in victory, you know, when they tell you, "Oh, cómo estás?" No, bendecido y en victoria. But you just realize that you just had the worst week of your life. You know what I mean? And that you're financially not stable, or that you're emotionally not stable, but you're pretending for everything to be okay. Then of course the people that are struggling, they're gonna be like, "Dang, this person's nothing like me." But if I open up, if I'm like, you know what? Hey, I did not have the best week, and guess what? That's you being real. Other people are going to go ahead and start being real with you. They're going to be like, oh, snap, dude, guess what? Neither have I. You know what I mean? The devil has been working up my life, or I made a couple of bad choices. You know what I mean? I'm not doing so well. And that's when you help out each other.
True.
You know what I mean? That's when you're like, hey, you know what? Can I pray for you? Hey, better yet, you want to go to Starbucks? Do you want to talk about it? You know what I mean? You help out each other. You know what I mean? But if you're pretending for everything to be okay, then you're not creating an opportunity for people to come out of their shell and be like, hey, you know what? This is me. This is what I'm struggling with. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's why I think vulnerability has to be something that's vital in leadership. When we're vulnerable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Vulnerability has to be vital when it comes to leadership.
You remind me of these verses in Galatians 6:2. It says, carry one another's burdens, that's and amazing. In this way you will fulfill the love of Christ.
Yes, Carlos. That's what I'm telling you. It's like, but we go back to it.
But if you don't see the burdens, right? Like, who would have thought you had burdens, or who would have thought you had burdens?
Yeah, if I'm always smiling, you know what I mean? And if nobody actually takes the time to go ahead and like spend time, invest time, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that sometimes we get so frustrating as leaders that we hang out with one youth one day and we expect for him to completely open up with me. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that.
Then you feel like it's
failure.
I mean?
This is a failure. I did not connect with them. No, you continue to spend time. You continue to create that space of which allows him to eventually come out and him actually telling you what's on his mind. What does he actually see about the church? How does he actually feel about Jesus? And that's when you come out and you help him. And you know what? Like, it's crazy because we try to correct without having relationship first. You know what I'm saying? We try to go ahead and tell them what's right first without even earning their respect.
Like they don't need another father figure.
You know what I mean? It's like
one thing that and I like to believe that the younger people, they look up to the older ones.
Correct. Yeah.
But sometimes, like, because they're so quiet, they're not too open. You start to begin, well, like, are they really paying attention to me? Like, you know, are they really looking up to me?
Their attention
you know,
really
and
short,
it's really como puedo decir, dangerous, because when you start thinking like that, you start forgetting about that.
Correct. Yeah.
And but I don't know. I mean, you just said that you do agree that they look up to us. You know, do you really? You know?
I honestly believe that they're aware of everything that you do. You know what I mean? If you come in late to church, they're aware of that. Yeah. If you're serving at the church, they're aware of that. If you're someone that tends to hide your feelings, they're aware of that. And you know what I mean? Yeah. They're really observant. Go.
I'm sorry. And but once you get that mentality that, oh, they are looking up to me, you know, for me, it makes it easier to be able to talk to them.
Correct.
Because, you know, well, you know, they may know a thing or two about me already. So, you know, look, maybe I can connect something.
I want to get off a little bit off trail.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I feel that this new generation is a smart generation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This upcoming generation is a generation that is not just going to go ahead and graduate from college, but it's going to go ahead and be innovators. They're going to bring something new. You know what I mean? This is the generation that I believe that God has anointed with creativity, with, you know what I mean, specifically in arts, you know what I mean, and in different areas, you know what I mean, when it comes to
so they
being
can
creative.
Implement that creativity in church.
You know, so they can implement that creativity in church, correct, and just bring new ways to go ahead and reach new people. The problem is that this generation is also a kind of like they think they know it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I relate that to how when we were young, because I think it's just the phase. It's not the generation itself. Because when you're young, you think you know it all. You know what I mean? You think that you can make better decisions than your parents, than your leaders, than your teachers. You know what I mean? Just because, but especially this generation having so much technology, they have so much resources to be smarter than you and I. You know what I mean? And that's where you have to go ahead and implement this. Hey, you know, me and as authority, I have to go ahead and serve you first and foremost, so that you can know what it really means to have authority. You know what I mean? Yeah. Having authority is not just having a position, is serving. You know what I mean? But if I'm just taking this placement, do as I say, pick up the chairs, read your Bible, and if that's all they see, but I never actually serve them, they're gonna go ahead and grow up with the mentality that once I get there, I'm just going to be the boss of everyone, and they are going to serve me instead of me serving them.
A boss instead of a leader.
Exactly.
And you know, one of the advantages that I guess us 90 babies have is that we're like
I'm 94. We're like
we're like in the middle, like, because part of our adolescencia, we still didn't have. I mean, the whole social media was barely picking up.
When I left high school, we only had a Facebook, and Instagram was just coming in. And Snapchat.
MySpace.
And
MySpace, we were still in MySpace.
And we were still like in the I don't want to say old school, but we were still in the, you know, back then. But we also got a little bit of the newer stuff now. Yeah. And now this generation that's coming up, 14, 15 years old, that's all they've seen, you know.
It's like
social media,
anything
and all
that you say, they can prove it, whether it's right or wrong, in Google. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you really have to be prepared. You know what I mean? You have to be careful.
But I think it's good that we were born in that transition, because we can be used as a bridge.
Correct.
Well,
exactly.
You know,
to connect generations. Yes.
Some people say, should I go for the younger side or the older side? And you feel this struggle, but I think that's an advantage for us, because we're like a bridge for the older generation and the younger one in like any scenario.
Really I want to go ahead and give you this example. You know, I was the media director last year, right? Mm-hmm. So many of the ideas that I had, you know, were implemented by a team that we had, right? But can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. Sometimes as a leader, you know what I mean, you look at the material that you have, and then you look at the material that your team is producing, and sometimes you have to set your pride away, and you have to let them run with it. You know what I mean? Because I had Daniel Barrios, which shout out to him, and I had Julio Garcia, which those guys came up with graphics that I'm telling you something I could never come up with. You know what I mean? They came up with ideas. You know what I mean? They come up with graphics that, you know what I mean, that your boy could not do. Right. You know what I mean? And it's not because I'm not talented enough, or it's not because I don't find a passion to it or anything like that. But it's just because you have to understand that people under you, they're talented. You know what I mean? And they may be talented in other areas that you're not. But guess what? You as a leader, you still have authority. You know what I'm saying? You still have the power to go ahead and be like, hey, you know what? We're not doing this right now, or we are doing this right now. That's where you have to be really careful. And with me in that position, I was like, you know what? I know I have the authority to go call the shots, but I'm going to go ahead and let you guys run with it. And let me tell you something. We had one of the best conferences we've ever had.
And I like to.
What was the conference called?
It's called Real Love.
Real Love, yeah.
When are you having it this year, right?
We're having it this year, correct.
When is
y'all didn't have a medium shirt.
October 20 and 21st.
I was trying to buy a shirt, but y'all didn't have
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So you said October 20.
Real Love, Here As in Heaven, October 20 and 21st, 2019.
That's really cool.
Here As in Heaven, correct.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I think it's 2020.
and I like to believe you're saying. I like to believe that even though like media people know that, you know, it may not have some stuff, spiritual stuff, but in a way they're still serving God.
They're still
you know,
contributing.
yeah.
You know,
that's what I like to believe.
You know, for me, it's like, okay, look, think about it. For me, okay, so now my girlfriend, she's the media director now, right? Because you needed to understand that season of my life was done. You know what I mean? When do you know when that season of your life is done? When you're not creating more, you know what I mean? When it starts to become like a burden, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When, you know what I mean? When you're not happy no more, you know what I mean? And my pastor noticed that on me. Pastor Wally, shout out to him. And, you know, and he moved me to a position in which I can go ahead and relate better, which is with people, you know what I mean? But now my girlfriend came in, and my girlfriend has a different way of looking at it. She says every graphic that we make, every post that we do, is to go ahead and attract someone that's not from the church. You know what I'm saying? It's a tool so that people can go ahead and see from the outside without having to actually visit. But ultimately, giving them like that, oh, you know what? Since I didn't go this Sunday, I want to go next Sunday because what's happening at CCVR, I want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Because what's happening there in the youth group, I want to go ahead and be a part of it. So now we're launching videos. We're doing hopefully a cover, you know what I mean, coming up soon. I probably said too much, but you know what I mean? But it's things
Breaking
like that.
news.
That, you know what I mean? Do you think
Didn't know that.
do you think that would have happened if I would have still been in that position though? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we would have had other projects, but not like the ones that they have now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, it's just learning as a leader when, you know what I mean, when it's time to transition into another phase, you know what I mean, into another season, you know. But
how long you been with CCVR now?
I've been I was there when I was 16. My parents were in that church with me.
Okay.
My
8
parents,
years?
About 8 years, correct.
Wow.
It's been a long time, you know.
Y'all do y'all's math so y'all can know his age.
Yeah.
I left
You already
for 2 years.
Yeah.
I know I left for a year. We left to another church,
Oh, okay.
but I couldn't connect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't connect with the church, and I went back to the place where I had set my roots. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I went back to it, and in the beginning, you know, it's kind of tough. You know what I mean? Because you leave your parents. You know what I mean? You live the shelter. I mean, well, not the physical shelter because I was still living at home. But like when you're talking about the spiritual sense, you know what I mean?
Right,
you kind of
right.
leave the, you know, their under their wings, and you start, you know, exploring. You know what I mean? So I stay there. I'm sorry, Angel. Go.
No, you didn't interrupt. I kind of interrupted my hand. But I have a question.
Yeah.
What's something that relates to that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm eating popcorn.
You're
Popcorn
fine.
is good, man. I ain't gonna lie.
You're fine.
So you know how you said that you went to a church, right, and you didn't feel comfortable for like that 1 year or whatever. So I want that to go with like the rest of the people that see this, like, you know how they go, not, you know, but it's like people that go to a church and they don't feel comfortable, and then once they go to that church, it's like, all right, I'm done with church.
Yeah.
Like, this is it for me, because I mean, there's no other church that's gonna be like, there's probably gonna be the same thing.
Yeah.
Basically like a Catholic church, right? You go to San Felipe, it's like, and you go to San Maria, and it's the same thing.
Correct.
But I want you to, like, if you could tell the people, like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Because you know how they weren't comfortable with one church, but there's this church that's actually like,
yeah. You know,
prosperante.
we were just talking about that earlier. You know what I mean? If it's not something that, you know, that it's appealing to you, you know what I mean? If you have like a look, and I think you guys said this in a podcast. No church is perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every church is gonna go ahead and have its flaws, but I think the ultimate, what makes a difference is wherever you feel loved. You know what I mean? When you feel loved, like, the music kind of doesn't matter no more. You know what I'm saying? like, oh, like the services don't kind of matter. Oh, they have like 10 services in a day. That doesn't matter anymore, because wherever you feel loved, you're willing to go ahead and compromise because you're receiving something. You know what I mean?
Like, and that motivates you.
That motivates you to keep going, to put yourself, put your roots in that church. You know what I mean? And serve and give it your best. But it all comes back to love. You have to find a church in which they embrace you, in which they're willing to invest time in you, in which they're willing to invest word in you. You know what I mean? But more importantly, in which they're willing to invest a relationship in you. When they're willing to invest community in you. And I think the moment that you find that, the other problems that church may have, you may be like, you know what? We got this. You know what I mean? We may have this problem, or we may have that problem, but you know what? In Jesus' name, we're going to go ahead and move forward. You know what I'm saying? I think that's when it comes to, it all comes back to love.
And you think, and one of the things is that, and it's scary because it's scary when I think about it, because, obviously to feel that love, and to have that feeling, there has to be human connection. There has to be all of that. Yeah. And the adults have it. Yeah. We still have it, but the younger generation, we need to let them know, hey, because we're getting into a world, into an age where, everything is just, on the phone, and, they're not really paying attention around. Yeah, they have their friends, but once, even us, like I had a lot of friends in high school. Now I probably just talk to one or two, because
I think that happens after high school.
Everybody goes their own way. But I think that's a really important thing to teach the younger people. Hey, vino una visitante, or let's go aquí a saludarlos. Correct. And let them know. But it's a really scary thing, because where we're heading.
Can I just go ahead and say that life and restoration at our church, one thing that we've been focusing on, and we'll probably receive a little criticism because of it, is because we want to go ahead and create an experience for a newcomer. You know what I mean? And it all begins at the door. So we have door greeters, and it's vital that the door greeters, they're receiving everyone with the high five, with such a good, like, you know what I mean, with such a good, like, mood, you know what I mean? Energy. Yeah, exactly, with such good energy, you know what I mean? Because it all starts at the front door. If somebody comes up to me, and it's my first time coming to church, and they're like, hey, how are you doing?
Like a zombie.
They're like, hey, what's up? I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? If I sit down throughout the whole services and nobody acknowledges me, and if the one thing that I'm lacking is love, do you think I'm going to go back to that place? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not, and it's like, maybe if I hear the word and the word changes me, you know what I mean? I may go ahead and receive what I have, but guess what? I'm still going to go ahead and start looking for another church, because I want to go ahead and feel loved by my community. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe that like what we have going on right now, it's like, hey, it starts from right there. And then throughout our service, we have a 2-minute like meet and greet. So like, hey, go ahead and say hi to someone. You know what I mean? We greet our guests by name. You know what I'm saying? And we're like, hey, you know what? We're so happy that you're here. And guess what? Life and restoration is family. So you're not a part of our family.
See, that's one of the big things, because many young people don't go through that. Yeah. That shake somebody's hand, or like you say, hug somebody. Because as you see, if you go to like a university or college, you just sit down. Correct. And you don't talk to that person that's on the other side, because I mean they're thinking of leaving already, or they're sleeping, or they're doing certain things that's like they're not really there,
But even things like that, like things like college, it programs it like I don't want to say it program the programa. How do you say that in Spanish? Como, I mean,
it
in
English, brainwashes you.
Like, I'm not saying, like, I think when we go to college, we go with the mindset of, hey, I need to go ahead and just do this and get out of here. I can't talk to no, you know what I mean?
It's like you're clocking in and you're clocking out.
Yeah, that's exactly. All you're doing. And so I think we are like, we have that mindset when we go to church sometimes. Hey, I'm just here to go ahead and here and receive what I need to go ahead and receive and get out. You know what I'm saying?
And I love what you said about like showing love, which is I love you too, man. Which is the most important thing. Yeah. But I also think that we need to let young people know that they also have value.
That's like, amazing.
Hey, you know what? Like, yeah, I feel love.
Say that again.
But value. Like, hey, you know what? I feel love, and I wanna help. I wanna serve, but I feel like I have nothing to do. I don't know. I don't know anything. So how can I help? So that's when you come in and you're like, hey, you have value. God has given you gifts, talents.
That's so awesome.
And I think and help you.
Well, you know
sometimes
what?
we put restrictions on them.
Yeah.
Before y'all move on, I just a little bit of humor. Like you were saying about how
Get out.
you know, saludar a la gente and everything.
Correct.
Like it's like when I was younger, my mom, when we used to go like to family parties, like
you have to say
ponte a
hi to
saludar a todos,
yeah,
you know,
you have to say hi
echale
to
saludos
everyone.
to tu tía, like, all right.
You know,
Voy a saludar al tío que está dormido en la sala.
Okay, let me just go ahead
Yeah.
and say something about that, and then
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and address that.
Wait.
When I was the media director,
Yeah.
so at church I kind of wear different hats. You know what I mean? I'm a translator, so I translate the preaching from Spanish.
English to Spanish.
So yeah,
Or
there
Spanish
it is.
to English.
So Spanish to English, and I'm also the service coordinator. So what I do is we have planning center. Shout out to planning center. And we have like the order of the service, and I do that like nights before, or sometimes the night
Planning
before the
center
service.
is an app, right?
You know, yeah, it's an app, and we have it, and we have the order of the service, and I will work the media department in the back with like the slides and all that good stuff. You know what that made me do? That made me get so focused on my jobs that you forget about the people. You know what I'm saying? Like I was running up and down and not saying hi to no one, just going in, clocking out, clocking in, clocking out. And it's important for you as a leader for never to have too much on your plate for where you cannot no longer say hi to someone, because that when that happens, you're in dangerous waters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Right.
walking on thin ice. You know,
Right.
whenever you get so consumed by your work and you think it's serving, no, it's no longer serving. Serving is actually acknowledging people. You know what I mean? Serving is doing. Go, Carlos. I know you wanted to go. Moses.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that happened that, when he was so focused on doing God's work,
Yeah.
and he totally forgot about his family.
about the people.
Yeah.
About the yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else? Joshua from the Bible. Even though he said, "Me and my house, me and my family will serve the Lord," he actually did not. You know what I mean? He was so focused on leadership that he forgot about his family. And his family and the people, they did not know who God was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, but as a leader, I'm getting off track. Yeah, I started like, hey, if I'm gonna go ahead and serve, because this is serving, I need to go ahead and make time to go ahead and say hi to people. So what I started doing, and I think P. Wally is a witness of it, I started wanting to say hi again. After service, I started staying a little bit and talking to people. You know what I mean? And that's what I do now. You know what I mean? Like
a thing. This is an example.
I haven't forgotten about the.
This is an example. A good coach.
I have it on hold.
A good coach knows how to plan their games around different type of players. In other words,
sports reference.
in other words, a good leader. If the younger people, there's younger people that may feel, I'm not useful here and stuff. It takes a type of good talented leader to know, what, I got something for this guy.
Yeah.
I got something for this girl. Some of the younger people,
Well,
for them to feel useful.
If you know your youth, you're going to know their strength.
Exactly. There you go. And so you were talking about value.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Some of the if not the main problem with the youth battles with is identity. You know what I'm saying? Me knowing who I am. And I want to go ahead and address this with you, gentlemen. A lot of people do not know the difference between purpose and calling. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Calling is the talents that God gave me for me to go ahead and fulfill here on earth. You know what I'm saying? My purpose, however, is to be loved by God, for me to experience the glory and of the magnificent power of Him. You know what I'm saying? My purpose, and listen to this, my purpose is not to become a preacher. That's my calling. You know what I'm saying? And I realized this because I'm like, okay, if my purpose were to become a preacher, the day that I lose my voice, am I going to have no purpose in life? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What will am I going to go ahead and to continue living? But if tomorrow, if I were to go ahead and lose my voice, which God forbid, then I'm fine with it. You know what I'm saying? Because my purpose in life is to experience His glory, is to experience His power, is to experience who God is. You know what I'm saying? It's to be loved by Him. You know what? Let me tell you something. Purpose reveals calling. You know,
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Purpose reveals calling. You know?
I like
I'm sorry.
Because a lot of people say,
something to say too.
my purpose is different to yours. I'm like, no, we all have the same purpose, to know God and to make Him known.
Exactly. That's beautiful.
Let me just finish, because I know that everyone wants to talk. The Bible calls it the ministry of reconciliation in 2 Corinthians 5.
Come on.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go
No.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
I want you to preach, Carlos. Let's go.
That's like our That's every
Stand
when
up, man.
when we all have a purpose, and we all have the same purpose as you said, which is to make Christ known to other people.
Correct. You know, and that's
Who
what I'm
else
telling you.
is next?
You want to know something? It's like, and I just want to finish, and I'll let y'all talk. I promise. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I'm a mic hogger.
You're
I
the
guess.
guest. You keep talking.
But you know, but
You
it's
broke
like
the promise.
purpose. You know what I mean? The moment that I received God's, but it's because think about it. Real love outcasts all fear, right? You need to be able to receive that love so you can walk into your calling, because you may have doubts of what God may call you to do. You know what I mean? You may be like, you know what, God, you call me to be a preacher. You call me to go to the nations, but at the moment, I don't even have papers. You know what I'm saying? Or God, you call me to go ahead and talk to intellectual people, but God, I never even went to college. You know what I'm saying? But that's when the love of God comes and he transforms you, and he outcasts all of that fear for you to be able to take steps into your calling. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't depend on you. It depends
On him. Moses, the main example. Hey, every single time, you know, for every single excuse that Moses had, God had a promise. But what am I going to say? I'll tell you what to say. But you know my speech and better. You know, it's like, but I'm the one that's going to be with you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I honestly believe that the youth needs to go ahead and know that my purpose is to be loved by God, to be able to go ahead and experience who he is, to be able to share him. You know what I mean? To be able to like enjoy who he is. You know what I mean? Get to know him, you know, and then after that reveals my calling. You know what I mean? So, I mean, go, Angel. I mean, I'm sorry, man.
You forget already?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to remember right now.
I'm
but
so
like,
sorry,
no,
yeah.
but no, you're fine. But what I was going with, but what I was going with, I was just recently reading a book, and it goes with what you were saying. Like, most of us feel that our purpose is just to go to heaven. Like, you just accept Jesus. But it's not really just to go to heaven.
Like
but
fire insurance?
Huh?
Like fire insurance?
But it's our purpose is not just to go to heaven, right? Mm-hmm. Our purpose is just like you said, to be with God, to know him, to share him, to share the gospel. Yeah. And so I like what you said, like, but you said it like in a broader way, yeah. Which I liked. I liked.
But you know, so whenever we're dealing with kids that have identity issues, that's when we really have to be biblical. You know what I mean? And really show them, and really show them about like the characteristics of who Jesus was. You know what I mean? The people that he dealt with, the people that he picked. He picked probably some of the most unqualified people to be able to follow him. You know what I mean? I think only one of them was a doctor, which was who was it? Luke. Yeah, right. Yeah. And it was like, but the rest, you know what I mean? Tax collectors, fishermen. You know what I mean? And it's like you really have to understand that. Hey, you know what? You may see yourself with flaws, but what God sees is a beautiful canvas to be able to do his art. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you have to be able to realize that in my mess, that in my flaws, that in my imperfections, that is the perfect opportunity for me to experience God's glory. You know what I mean? And God's power, you know?
You know, if you pay attention to Jesus' bloodline, all the people that came, they were all
from a prostitute.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like, you're saying, what good can come out of this?
Exactly. From a prostitute, you know, it goes all the way back with the two spies and Raab, right? And it all goes back to to the bloodline, a person who maybe a lot of people look down upon. You know what I mean? The people shamed. You know what I mean? Who people stayed away from. From that bloodline, we have the you know what I mean? Our Lord and Savior Jesus, and it's just amazing. That's when you start teaching that, and when you start showing that, hey, you know what? You're worth enough for me to spend time with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're worth enough for me to go ahead and pay your meal. Hey, you're worth enough for me to think about you and get you a gift. Now, obviously, when it comes to a leader, you have to know your you know what I mean? You have to set some type of like border balance, you know what I mean? Because you know, you have to be careful nowadays. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to make sure that everything that you're doing is with a good intention. You know what I mean? Intention in your heart. And you know, even we're so cautious about that. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to and I'm moving a little bit less than this. You know,
feel free,
because we're dealing with a lot of young people, right? You know, I have a friend. He works at Second Baptist. Shout out that over there in the Kingwood area. He's no longer there, but when he was overseeing like 200 plus kids, right? And one thing that he told me that was so vital was like, hey, you know, like in my Snapchat and my social media, I don't add them. And it's not that I don't want to be cool or anything like that, but it's just that you have to be careful because, you know what I mean? You have to be able to set some type of like border, you know what I mean? Or some type of like
barrier.
Yeah, like a type of barrier, because it's like, you know what I mean? You don't want to create the opportunity for you to receive something that can go ahead and like be on your phone and then cause problems later on. Are you catching my drift? You know what I mean? And with small churches, we don't have that problem. You know, we add everyone. You know what I mean? Like we add everyone, but if later on when we grow, we do have to go ahead and set like a border, like a barrier. Like, hey, you know what? It's not that I don't love you, you know what I mean? But because of the health of the church and because of the health of me, my wife, my kids, you know what I mean? I'm not willing to put my reputation on the line by me doing this or by me creating an opportunity for you to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, are you catching my? You know, I don't know if the people, but many cases could have been avoided. You know what I mean? By that, you know what I mean? Because
you learn,
you know. But I don't want to get much on that. Yeah.
But man. We done a lot.
No. Oh my god! I was waiting for him to say something. Go ahead.
No, you got something?
I mean, you were.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Goodness! All right, so I have another question, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably gonna be outside, but usually us young people think about it. I mean, how old are you, Martin? If you want to tell the people, 24.
24.
He's
We're all 24.
35 now. I'm playing 24.
No, we're actually all 24.
Yeah, we're all 24.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Except for our tech. He's how old are you? Oh yeah, he
your
connected
mic
the other
works?
mic.
Oh my goodness. So Daniel, what do you say about our conversation? Like, what do you think about it? Like, what do you think about the conversation that we had? Like about the can you hear it? Yeah. Okay.
Give me a second. Oh, there we go. So what exactly?
Like what everybody
like
said,
an input or something.
Like an input.
No,
Like.
it's interesting. Honestly, when I thought about it, when it came to the design stuff, as in like everybody has their calling, that was kind of crazy to me. Because honestly, sometimes you don't feel like you do because you're just in like photo and video, and all you're doing is pretty much just broadcasting, or you're just pretty much giving more marketing to social media, which I just don't like. When I would do it, like with the way we started out was, no one gave me that platform. Like I just started doing it.
Yeah.
Because for the Alfredo, I started doing the broadcasting for live videos just because I had an iPhone and an iPad.
Nice.
And then after that, I decided to put in more money. I got myself an iRig Pre. And that's how I started pretty much getting the professional audio quality straight to the iPad. And that's how I started pretty much at the actual church. So they didn't tell me anything. I just decided, you know, that feels like something we should do at church. And that from then is like exactly how I started doing that.
Oh, he has his own little room and everything.
It's like, it wasn't more of someone had to tell me. It was something of
Like you felt it in you.
You saw the need. I think that's what it is, and I think that's what the young guns are bringing in nowadays. It's like I'm not waiting for someone to go ahead and give me the okay. You know what I mean? I'm just responding to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's amazing because you started helping out your church, and by you doing that, you know, like dude, you're serving. You know what I mean? What you have is a ministry, and I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's time for the Hispanic church to start acknowledging that there is such thing as a pastor, as a social media pastor. You know what I mean? Pastor is ultimately somebody that leads a department. You know what I mean? That leads people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you have to understand that what you have is a ministry, and God in His will. You know what I mean? In His almighty will, He will go ahead and reveal what's next. You know what I'm saying? Right. How you can go ahead and take this to the next level, so that not just the people on the church can go ahead and get, you know, something out of it, but the people outside can go ahead and start listening and getting something out of it. You know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's just the way that we need to start changing the way we think. You know.
And I think that.
So just to let y'all know, you don't really need a big setup to start live streaming your church services. All you need is your iPhone, your Android. Start doing that.
That's good.
If you have an Android, just hide it.
All you do, get a tripod and your phone, and you're good.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You know, I think that also confirms your calling when you start seeing fruit, like fruto. Like, hey,
correct.
You know, like people like it. We are getting like good feedback. I think this is my calling. Like in his case.
Yeah. I think the moment that you start influencing others, you know what I mean? That you start like, oh my God, like I want to go ahead and do that, or like. When you start, like you say, you start seeing fruits of that are going to go ahead and help, you know what I mean? That are going to go ahead and create other opportunities. You know, that's when you start seeing, hey, you know what, God, keep using me, please. Because this is just the beginning, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So you were talking about that conference, Real Love, like anything else
Oh,
going
man,
on?
Real Love. First of all, Real Love was amazing last year. Shout out to Pastor Ovi. Shout out to Pastor Nat that we had them flying out from New York.
How long was that
California.
conference? Was it a 3-day conference?
It was 2 days.
2 days.
You went on Friday night.
I want to say something about that conference. Legit, it was good. Like I didn't plan to go because it was like I think you
Thing?
it wasn't last minute. It was just like a recent invite from you, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to go because it was like, I don't know. I felt like I needed to go, so I went, and I went by myself. And I think I invited somebody to go, but I don't think they could go. But I went, and it was legit. It was pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe small, maybe big, but they made it feel like it was like an arena basically. It was kind of it was amazing because the whole worship experience from beginning to end, from the greeting and all that, it was pretty good. So y'all did pretty good. I ain't
Thank
gonna
you
lie.
so much.
Now conferences like that, 'cause that was your second year, right?
It was our second year, correct?
Like
yes.
compared to the first year, I'm pretty sure the first year was something scary, something that you guys.
Yeah, so it's
learned.
like it's just like so. We have tried to done an annual youth event every single year, but recently, well, we will call it different things. So one year we called it I Am, you know what I mean? We talked about identity. We outbreak. We talked about love, an outbreak of love, you know what I mean? What else? We we had a superhero night, I guess, once back in the days. But real love, we decided to go ahead and just stick with it, like with the brand, you know what I mean? And last year was 2017 was the first year of the conference, and let me tell you something. Yeah, it is scary, you know what I mean, to be able to go ahead and do something that you may think, that you may see a lot of other churches doing, and you're like, man, you know what I mean? It's a problem with comparison, you know what I'm saying? Because whether you want to go ahead and be as original as you want, you're still in the back of your head. You're like, oh my God, what can we do different that other churches have not done? You know what I mean? Or are we going to go ahead and get the same results as this other church, And it's your human, you know what I mean? Your human desire. But one thing that we learned and one thing that we decided to go ahead and stick to is like, we're going to go ahead and just be obedient to God's voice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and let the ideas and the innovative ideas and the new stuff come and flow from that area. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to go ahead and just worry about it, or we're not going to stress about it. Yeah. It takes a lot of you, to be honest, because we did not expect as many people as we did this year. You know what I'm saying? We had over probably maybe what would you say, like over 150, 200 people in each service, and we were not expecting that because the prior year we probably only had like 100. You know what I'm saying? And now it was like, wow, like God is just showing, how good He is, how He's just showing how faithful He is, and how His promises, they're real. And so this year we're working on the lineup already. We have a couple of names that we've been thinking about who's going to be preaching and who's going to be leading worship.
Nice.
But I think the whole idea, we've always wanted to go ahead and do like a community event, like a community outreach. So that's on the talks too. You guys are getting like the inside scoop, I guess. But this year is called Here as in Heaven. And I could just talk about this all day because Here as in Heaven is such an important.
Are y'all inviting Elevation Worship? Is that?
Oh man, you know what?
or Mac Brock from Elevation Worship.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. Nothing is impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
I honestly believe that we're not a church that
has a lot of money.
But we're not a church that sees limitations. You know what I mean? I was speaking to my girlfriend this year, and I told my girlfriend. You didn't speak
to her last year?
No. I was speaking to my girlfriend on what we can do different in 2019, right? And I told her one thing that we're gonna go ahead and stop using is the word can't. I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that that's a word that does not exist in the vocabulary of God.
How about but? You can't use but.
Right, butts. Yeah. Like give like excuses. Yeah.
Never hurts to try, man.
Right. But I'm like, like we're not gonna go ahead and say it because I think ourselves we set limitations. You know what I mean? And really we're like, we serve a God of the impossible, and we have to start living by that mindset. Angel, you're 24, right? And you have your own house. You know what I'm saying? That's serving the God of the impossible. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to go ahead and bring up to light, that it is possible for you, like the dreams that you have, the ideas that you have, for you just to go ahead and launch, you know what I mean, and just go ahead and do it. The podcast, you know what I mean? A lot of people can go ahead and say that there's a lot of limitation, you know what I mean, that you guys lack resource, or you guys lack this, like that. But guess what? We're doing something. You know what I'm saying? We're walking, we're believing, you know what I mean? We're investing in this.
And a lot of people are just, when it's the first time, a lot of people are just too scared to get their, I don't want to say to get their hands dirty, but like, man, I don't want to, you know.
I think they're scared of commitment.
It's like a relationship. Like let's say a relationship. Oh, I can't say this because this is gonna fail. Like, or I can't say, or because she's gonna break up with me. It's kind of like that. Like,
no, it's like
that mindset. You can't have that mindset.
I don't want it to come out wrong, you know. And people just say, you know what, I'm just not gonna, I'm just not gonna do it, you know.
Well, you know what, I admire El Alfarero because you guys did a 3-day event. Yeah. And that's even more, you know, that takes more of a risk. You know what I'm saying?
And we learned a lot, man. We really did. And I think, you know, if, you know, I don't want to say if. I want to say that we may do it again. Or we are going to do it again.
When you do it again.
Yeah, when we do it again, you know.
Was there a name on that conference? Like on the Alfarero conference?
It was called a part or a part.
Well, that's a tongue twister for sure.
Yeah. But you know, it's going
to be called next time. It's going to be called Love Real.
Love Real.
But I don't think, you know, it.
but you learn, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think it hurts.
We ain't copying nobody.
Let me just tell you something.
Yeah.
Before Real Love, we had done so many other events in which we probably had like 40 people show up. Right. You know what I mean? And it was like, and it was frustrating because you would give it like your best, but you will not see the results.
Right.
And then to be able to go ahead and look at Real Love and look at both nights, and you were like, wow, you know what I mean? True. Like everything that you have done, it has not been in vain. You know what I mean? And I think God sees that and He honors that.
And it's about, it's like you said, commitment. You got to continue.
Correct.
You got to continue.
But you learn as well, because from all those events, we learned something.
Because you can't just, you know, you can't just do it once and then stop, just stop and then continue again. Like, you know, you just gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Something I think, and of course you did too, is like, don't settle. Like,
correct.
We did it this way, we're gonna continue doing it this way. No, like keep improving. And one thing that you told me when you just got here, like to the house, was always try to see things that people like. When people don't have any idea, like try to see beyond their vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you bring something and they're like, I didn't even know that I needed this.
Yeah, correct.
Right? That's where innovation comes in. And
and you know what I mean? That's when we're really, you know, you learn a lot from your mistakes, you know what I mean? And you learn a lot from dealing with people as well, you know what I mean? That's why I'm telling you, like when I started seeing that the young guys started bringing in like ideas, you know, sometimes it's hard to say it, but it's time to go ahead and it's hard to say it because it hurts your pride, you know what I mean? But it's like, hey dude, time to be set aside so that the new generation can go ahead and come in, you know what I mean? Because these cats, and I'm not saying for you to like not to guide them, no, because they're not ready, you know, to be on their own. Guide them, but like, you know what I mean? Let them flow, let them do what they need to go ahead and do, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're going to have to go ahead and just be a fan from the stands. You know what I'm saying? In order for it to go ahead. And can I say something? This conference, I was the least involved in this conference that I have ever been in any other conference. And it was successful.
I mean, I saw you too, because I went to the conference and you were like sitting as like you were like if you were me, you know, you were just watching everything. I mean, you did start the service though. You did start the conference, but like you saw everything going down, like the worship from people.
Yeah.
From
and
people
that's
preaching.
Also a big another responsibility of the leadership to involve these younger people, because once you step out, you know, they're next. Yeah. You know, you got to make sure they're ready. You got to guide them and everything. And but yeah, that's a scary feeling, man. Like whenever you start thinking, man, I'm getting older, you know, I'm all that. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you're gonna retire. It doesn't mean that you're gonna stop completely. Obviously, no. You're always gonna be there. You're always gonna be there.
You also need to train to teach them how to be a leader.
Correct.
Right.
Because then the third generation will come and they will be in charge of supervising them.
I love what you just said. Generations. You know what I mean? You have to understand that in your church, you probably have like three to four generations. You know what I mean? Or maybe 3 at max. You know what I mean? You have
maybe
the older
5.
people.
Maybe 2. That way is it.
Yeah, you have the older people. You have you, and then you have the. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then probably you can count the kids, because the teenagers, you know, they fall. You know, the teenagers and the kids can probably be one. But you said something that was so vital. You know, as leaders, we need to prepare the upcoming generation, because they're the ones that are going to be taking care of your kids. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
They're, you know, the upcoming teenagers that you're going to prepare as leaders, they're the ones that are going to be teaching your kids. And if you do not, like, you know what I mean, step it up, if you do not really invest in them, who do you think they're going to have as a youth leader? Right. You know what I mean? who do you think that they're gonna go ahead and have as a youth pastor? You really have to think about that thing. What I'm sowing in you later on, I'm gonna go ahead and see it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's strong.
Yeah.
All right. So that is it, guys. That is it for our podcast. Do you have any final words about this whole podcast?
Yeah, there has to be a part 2.
There has to be a part 2.
Yeah, there has to be a part 2.
No, not part 2, but he's gonna be invited again.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There's no part 2.
Season 3.
Season 3.
Nah,
No, it's the first
I'm
season.
playing the.
No.
No, you know, just thank you guys. You know, someone from the outside, you know, I'm honored, you know what I mean, to be here. I'm honored to be a part of this. I believe in what you guys are doing, and you know, just keep going. You know what I mean. Even if sometimes you criticize your own self, you know what I'm saying. Get past that, and you know, keep going, keep moving. And thank you again.
I want to ask you about the whole sports thing.
That'll be part 2, I guess.
Part 2, I guess.
Just wait.
Part 2.
That'll be part 2.
What's the sports thing you talking about, man?
About the podcast he used to have.
Oh, like the sports podcast.
We'll ask him later.
Well, it'll be part 2. Yeah.
You know, because the subject, you know how you know.
You gotta
Has
have a
to
hood for the
correlate.
people to, you know, watch it
You have
again.
anything to
There it
say?
is.
Hey man, well, I just want to thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
We've been wanting to like
Hang
talk
out.
to
Yeah, we
one-
No,
wanted to talk,
legit.
yeah.
When I made this podcast, I remember I was gonna invite you on the
first one.
I was gonna.
I
Invite
was
you.
invited. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it to that one.
Yeah. I was like, whoever I'm gonna invite first, I'm gonna invite this guy first.
I appreciate that, Angel. Thank
and
you so
now
much.
we have him on the 6th episode.
Thank
number
you. Thank you
6.
for opening the doors of
The
your home, man.
doors.
I
Appreciate
also
that.
like the way you think, because
Appreciate that,
I
brother.
think that everyone in this room like think alike.
Yeah, I like the
So-
way you look.
I like that. I'm a little chubby right
What
now.
I did notice, it didn't bother me, but everyone is wearing hats except me.
Oh, but see,
Wait, you're wearing a hat.
but that's how you stand out, though. You know what I mean?
You're wearing a hat. You don't know it
That's-
yet.
That's how you know you're the trendsetter. You know
Exactly, exactly. You gotta be, you know.
I like
What I mean?
that.
He's the wave maker.
I like
Let's
that
go.
Trump copete.
By the way, Martin's wearing my hat again. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man.
You have anything to say, Martin?
Nah, well, I mean, I'm really thankful, man.
Yeah, man.
And
Thank
thank
you
you,
so much.
for accepting the invitation. But we're looking forward for the next one, man.
Yeah. I'll
Hopefully,
be honored to be back here again.
Hey, if you can bring somebody else to like share their experience.
You know what?
Or-
We're gonna bring Leba so we can. We're
Nah.
gonna bring Leba so we can play the guitar for us.
Cut it
And
out.
we'll bring-
Man, I'm kidding.
And we'll
Hey.
bring and we'll bring my girlfriend so they can.
Yeah,
sing.
like we
yeah.
can have a worship
Worship,
session.
Yeah,
worship,
worship
worship,
session.
what's it called? Worship minutes, or what's it called, Daniel? It's called worship minutes.
There it
Worship
is.
minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
forget about
So
session.
we invite her on worship minutes with Carlos Leva.
Hey,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
hopefully we can have Wally one day, man.
Yeah, we should have him too.
P. Wally,
Man,
P. Wally.
dude.
I
Yeah,
know
we
for a
should bring
fact
him
We
he
need,
would
we
love
need.
that.
We're gonna bring him too.
Yeah, we need to.
We
have
need to
one
plan
one
that
day.
out that way, like he can like
Yeah,
you know make sure that he has time.
yeah, for sure.
Mm.
I don't know how Saturdays are, but hopefully we can have them.
No, thank you guys. I
Him
appreciate
and
you.
his wife.
Yeah.
Cause they're both they both work
Correct.
together,
They both
For the
work
youth,
together. Correct,
yeah.
Yes.
That's, yeah. Well,
So that's it for
Yeah.
us.
And you're gonna pay for our meal, right? That's why you say
I'm
it
gonna
about.
have to. I'm gonna have to.
Nah, that's fine.
Nice,
For all
don't worry,
this
man.
free publicity. Yes.
Yeah, man.
All right, so that's it for us, guys. Thank you for watching the 6th episode, and subscribe, like, and
Subscribe.
go look at the Instagram. Go look at the Facebook. We
Go
usually
look at the
post-
merchandise.
Oh, go buy the merch. Buy the merch. Yeah, there's
there's
merch. We recently put it out there. I've bought a shirt. I think it's coming on Monday because I paid extra on shipping and stuff like that. But it's coming on Monday. I thought it was gonna come in today, and it was gonna be like special thing, but I guess not. But
CCVR is located in JC.
It's located.
Do you mind giving them the directions?
It's 12338 Colson Street, Houston, Texas 77015.
Youth nights are.
Youth nights are Wednesdays
Wednesdays.
at 7:30, and we have our we only have one service on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Nah.
all right, well that's it, guys.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
God bless y'all.